You know, I'm honestly so sick of these headlines. Shooter hits another soft target. Annunciation Catholic School in Minneapolis, grades K through 8, was shot up this morning. 2 children dead, 17 others injured in a gun-free zone in a state that became the model for red flag laws when Tim Walz's state. By who? Oh, this guy, another transgender confirmed by DHS, Robin Westman, who changed his name back in 2020. Add that to the list of the Nashville shooting by Audrey Hale, Colorado Springs Anderson Lee Aldrich, Highland Ranch, Colorado, Alec McKinney. Those and more, all part, in my opinion, are part of a mental disorder they call trans or non-binary. The FBI now calling this domestic terror. Okay? But the mayor this afternoon made sure to defend the trans community, Democrat, by the way, rather than actually solve the problem.
Anybody who is using this as an opportunity to villainize our trans community or any other community out there has lost their sense of common humanity.
Bro, you totally missed the mark here. This guy had a manifesto that has a picture of a trans flag with an AK-47 on it that says defend equality, okay, with a magazine that he wrote on saying kill Donald Trump, loaded up with armor-piercing green tip ammunition. By the way, he also had a 2x4 that said 420 blaze it on it, 3 guns. He had an AR-15, a shotgun, and a pistol. So what are we going to change here? I watched the mayor, the same mayor, and the police chief, and a bunch of others take to the microphone and talk about how heinous and awful this was. It was. But how, they're all talking about how they're going to be there for the victims, too.
Every one of us needs to be wrapping our arms around these families, giving them every ounce that we can muster.
Even in the face of such evil, the Minneapolis Police Department and all of our law enforcement partners stand with our community. We stand with these families and with this parish. We will continue to be here for you.
Yeah, so that might be good for their re-election campaign, but it doesn't solve anything. What is changing? What is Minnesota, or anyone else, going to do to make sure this doesn't happen again? After every one of these mass shootings, there's outrage and there's sorrow and there's prayers about, all this stuff. But they always focus on one thing: guns. After Sandy Hook, they passed the 1160 bill, which had all sorts of gun restrictions on it for people in Connecticut, not one aspect of that bill would have stopped the shooting. Go read the bill. Not one provision in that bill would have stopped a single part of how that shooting was carried out. The National Safer Community Act, after the Uvalde shooting, which enhanced background checks, allocated $750 million that was supposed to go to fund school safety programs. Didn't do a lick for this school. Illinois passed the Protected Communities Act in wake of the Highland Park shooting that banned the purchase of semi-automatic rifles and magazines over 10 rounds, which certainly didn't decrease crime in Chicago, given how less than 1% of their gun crime is actually committed with AR-15 or assault rifles. It's mostly pistols. You've had a dozen blue states pass stupid gun legislation restricting law-abiding citizens like me from buying this firearm or that firearm over the last 10 years, which has done nothing, zero, zip, nada to address the unlawful use of guns by criminals. Certainly hasn't reduced crime. And that's mostly because the people regulating or commenting on these things don't have the first freaking clue what they're talking about or what they're regulating.
We have federal regulations and state laws that prohibit hunting ducks with more than 3 rounds, and yet it's legal to hunt humans with 15-round, 30-round, even 150-round magazines.
This right here has ability with a 30 caliber clip to disperse with 30 bullets within half a second.
It seemed like a rifle, he said, a semi-automatic rifle, and it went on for several minutes.
Right, and look, that's not uncommon as well. These things can shoot dozens of bullets, in just one trigger pull, right?
No, none of that's correct. The real problem and the real reason we can't stop these shootings is because the people making the decisions are unwilling to admit the real problem. Look, spoons don't make people fat, cars don't drive drunk, and guns don't kill people. They don't just get up, walk around, and shoot people. So if you think banning guns will solve the problem, then I'd ask all you brainiac liberals out there, why has banning guns not solved the problem? Because this area where this happened is rife with crime. For God's sake, Minnesota has a law that it doesn't make armor-piercing bullets illegal, which may or may not be fine for that state. But you know what it does do? It does make it a felony to use or possess them during the commission of another crime. I mean, thanks. What good is a law like that? This is what I'm talking about. They don't know what they're regulating. Therefore, these types of regulations are never going to work. And this further makes my point. The police chief was asked today during that press conference if this shooting was related to the other mass shooting just hours before that.
Is this related to any of the other shootings? This does not appear to be related to any other shooting in the city.
Oh, yeah, that's right. That one appeared to be gang-related, so that wasn't on the front page of it. Like, I'm sorry, if you're being asked if 2 major shootings in the same area within hours are related to each other, you've got a real problem with law enforcement in the area. In an area that's also #1 in the recruiting terror capital of America. And you have done nothing to mitigate this, which we're seeing that this shooter also had Islamic phrases written on his gun that we had to blur it out for the investigation, as well as things like 6 million wasn't enough, referring to killing Jewish people on another one of his guns. So look, you can offer all the condolences you want, but I want to know what meaningful change is going to come out of this. Otherwise, it's going to just happen again. I'm so sick of having the conversation after every mass shooting about our hearts go out to these people and then doing nothing. Nothing. Those hollow words. It does nothing about it. Clearly, banning guns doesn't solve this. Over 90% of mass shootings happen in gun-free zones. So when are you going to make changes? This goes for every state in America. When are we going to let teachers or parents carry guns on school campuses? Because clearly the criminals just bring them in there no matter what the laws are. And then people like me who don't bring them there because it's against the law and I'm a law-abiding citizen, we become sitting ducks, just like today. I mean, it is just crazy to me that the same people that are criticizing the National Guard being around enforcing law would be the first people running and hiding behind that National Guardsman in a situation like we saw today. You know, I actually personally did a poll on this once in Iraq. And you know what that poll concluded? It turns out that 100% of the people shooting at me actually stopped shooting at me when I shot them in the face. Fact check me on that, CNN. I'm here, they're not. I've defended my own home when 6 intruders came in with a gun. I carry one nearly everywhere I go, definitely where it's always legal. It's not because I'm looking for a fight, it's because I refuse to be a victim. I realize that makes some people uncomfortable, but 1, I don't really care. And 2, I would ask those same people, when you're in a danger, who do you call? A guy with a gun. But when seconds count, cops are minutes away. And as I read the part, shall not be infringed, I sure would like the ability to shoot back, like on a train, in a school, at work, home, anywhere else. An armed teacher, a parent, or bystander today might have saved some kids' lives. It's estimated that anywhere between 500,000 and 3 million lives are saved and serious crimes prevented every year by lawful civilian gun ownership. There have been approximately 0 shootings at gun shows, by the way, but a lot in gun-free zones like schools, on military bases that, yes, are gun-free zones, and liberal cities. How about we give my way a try, because something's got to change.
He loves the Constitution. He fights for what's right. He hates the bad guys. He's a freedom warrior. He's your freedom warrior. Watch Carl Higbie every weekday on Newsmax.